Hi and welcome back. If you keep your chickens in an enclosed space, you might start on grass, but they'll dig in that soil, a little bit of rain, and it can very easily churn into mud. So today I'm going to show you some of the options that we use here to stop our chickens' feet getting very wet. Hi, my name's Fiona and this is our chicken field, but I think you can see that there's no birds in here at the moment, and that's because at the time of filming we're in the UK and we're subject to some avian influenza prevention restrictions. That means that every poultry keeper in the UK has a legal obligation to either keep their birds indoors or in fully netted enclosures. Normally floor coverings aren't a problem for us because although chickens do love to dig and love to churn up soil by going for grubs and worms, the grass has lots of time to recover because the field is so big and our stocking density with chickens is so low. There's lots of opportunity for the grass to fill in those spaces before it turns into a muddy quagmire. Now that we've got our chickens in an enclosed, fully netted enclosure, we're struggling with the possibility of the ground turning to mud. Now we appreciate not everyone is lucky as we are, so this is a new experience for us, but if you're a new chicken keeper, it may be new to you too. So today we're going to have a look at some of the options available to keep your chickens' feet dry, because as they dig, the rain comes down, it does have a danger that it could turn into just a muddy swamp. So let's have a look at some of the options and see if there's one that's right for you. The ideal for most poultry keepers is to keep their chickens on grass. And if you've only got a few chickens, this kind of coop might be a viable option for you. We've got far too many chickens for this to be viable for us. And we have this coop really for our broody hens so that we can keep an eye on them and the rest of the flock don't bother them. But if you have a few hens, it's great because as soon as they start to graze off the grass underneath, turn it to soil and churn it up, you pick it up and move it to a new location. And this particular coop actually comes in two halves. So there's the coop itself and then the run as a separate section. And that means one person could move this on their own, but clearly it's easier with two. If your chicken enclosure has already turned to mud, or you want a different type of solution, raising the ground that your chickens stand on could be the way forward for you. And this is probably the cheapest way of doing it, and it's an old pallet. Now on the small holding, we've got quite a lot of these because they're useful for all kinds of jobs. But if you don't have these readily available, look on a lot of second-hand websites and you should be able to find some which aren't in pristine condition, but will be good enough for this particular job. If the gap between the planks bothers you, put some plywood over the top or tack down some AstroTurf, because that can be hosed down and scrubbed down to keep it clean for your chickens. Now if you want a slightly more sophisticated solution, these are called range protectors from an organisation called Feather and Friends, and these are absolutely fantastic. We've got quite a lot of them because they've got other purposes for the long term. For the moment they will raise the ground so the chickens can stand away from any mud that actually forms. But once our chickens are back in their free range field, we use these to reseed any areas which the chickens do dig up, because the grass seed goes underneath, it's got access to sunlight, it's got the rain still which can come down and allow the grass seeds to germinate, and it's got a chance to establish, and the chickens can't get their feet and claws down to scratch up the establishing grass. So these have long-term applications and we absolutely love them. One of the cheapest and most readily available floor coverings there is out there for your chickens is this, and it's barley straw. And as you can see, I've got a lot of our wonderful Orpingtons here just scratching around. And the reason they're scratching so much and playing with this straw is that on these heads of barley there used to be barley grains. And although most of them have been harvested and taken out of this straw, it doesn't stop the chickens trying to find them. So it's cheap, it's readily available, it keeps them entertained. Oh, and the fourth thing is that because it's natural, when you need to clean it out and the chickens have soiled it and you need to replace it with fresh straw, just fork it all out, take it out, pop it in your compost bin, and it will make wonderful nutritious compost for your gardening for next year. As you've seen, the straw acts as a boredom buster for the chickens, keeping them occupied, digging in it for grain. We've decided to take this one step further. Instead of spreading the straw out on the ground for the chickens, we simply give them full bales or sections of straw bales. The chickens pull them apart and gradually spread it out on the ground through their natural scratching. It keeps them entertained for hours. The next type of covering that we've been using for the enclosures is this, and it's wood shavings. And we've gone for these bales, which are specifically designed for horses. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is that they're a lot cheaper than those which are designed for poultry. And I don't really understand why, but it tends to be the case. And the second reason is that horses that are kept on wood shavings are generally on wood shavings because they're allergic to the dust that's actually in the straw. So it means that these wood shavings are treated and they're dust extracted, so they're hypoallergenic and they're fantastic. And they'll last a long time. And they'll last a long time because these flakes are very, very large. But we also know that these are going to eventually break down and make the soil incredibly nutritious. So once these restrictions are lifted and we can move the chickens back into their field, it means that this ground should be nutritious and easy for us to reseed. But the other thing about shavings as an advantage over straw, although it does cost a little bit more, is actually a lot more economic to use. And that's because if you want to clean it out, you can just poop pick the areas where there's poo, rather than having to take out great big swathes of straw. You're taking out small sections and leaving the vast majority. So actually, in the end, it's probably more economical to use wood shavings. And the chickens love it just as much. These guys have been digging in it ever since I put this bale in. But let me show you how they break it down. The third type of floor covering that we're going to be using is a variation on the wood shavings theme. So this is a large flake that we were looking at just a moment ago, but we also have a very fine version which we actually use as bedding in the coop. And can you see how fine that is? Now the brand we use is a brand called Snowflake, and this is a variation called Supreme. So it's highly dust extracted and very hypoallergenic. Now these wood shavings have all the advantages of these, but they will rot down quicker. So we'll start to use this when we know we're going to move this enclosure. And it might be that we're just moving the enclosure, or it may be that we've come to the end of the avian influenza restrictions and the chickens will be going back into their fields. So whatever's in here as a floor covering, we're going to want it to break down into the soil much faster. Now it depends on your individual circumstance whether this size of flake is good for you or the small size of flake is good for you. Before we finish, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some of the floor coverings which you might be tempted to use but may not be a good idea, and let me explain why. There are three types of floor covering that should be avoided if possible because they have a potential to cause some health issues within your chickens. The first might surprise you, and it's hay. Now, hay is essentially dried long grass, and long grass has a potential to wrap itself around food within a chicken's crop, which can mean that it can't take nutrition into its body because you have an impacted crop. Now, hay, if you are going to buy it, try and buy the chopped up hay and not those long strands. The second one to try and avoid is decorative garden bark. Now, this is widely available as a mulch within the garden, but the problem with that is that the bark is generally from softwoods, and softwood naturally has some mould in it, and those moulds can cause some health issues for chickens. The third one to try and avoid, for exactly the same reasons as the bark, is decorative wood chip. And again, those haven't been treated to remove mould spores simply because they're intended as a garden mulch and not as a floor covering for chickens. So if you can avoid those three, it's probably a really good idea. Those are the options that we use here to keep our chickens' feet dry. Now we're going into the winter season and we've got rain and potentially snow on the way. And I hope that's given you some ideas. And don't forget, all of the things I've shown you can be used as extra boredom busters to keep your chickens engaged while they're in enclosed spaces. If you have liked this content, take a moment and give me a thumbs up below. If you're not already a subscriber, come and join us. Hit the subscribe button and the notifications icon and you'll get to hear of any new video as soon as it becomes available. If you've got any questions for me or any ideas for another video that you'd like to see in the future, leave it in the comments section and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible, or even make that video. But for now, thanks for watching and I look forward to seeing you next time.